Hello friends, welcome to a new watercolor tutorial. I am VanidasMangathil. In this tutorial, we are going to make this watercolor subject, this watercolor landscapes, and the reference of this is actually another imaginary work that I have created in one of my loose landscapes classes. This is the reference, and this was done from imagination by discussing with the participants. Before we begin with the tutorial, if you are new to my channel, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and press the bell notification so that you get notified whenever I release new videos. Now let us get into the tutorial. I am using an Indian handmade watercolor paper, and the brand that I am using is called Maestria. Okay. Now I am looking at the previous reference, and I have placed it on the left top side for your convenience. And I am only drawing the focal area of that, the house and maybe a couple of figures, etc. So only that area I am drawing with a little bit precision, and the rest of the area where you find the tree foliages and shadows and the pathways, all those things are very simply suggested. And the drawing here is, I mean, little loose in the sense I haven't uh, I mean planned to make it very precise. Okay, little bit of a casual sort of drawing with reasonable kind of accuracy, right? Right. Actually speaking, the frame size of the reference and the frame size of the watercolor paper that I am using is slightly different. This work is slightly wider than the reference, so I have to extend the foliages part on either end of the house. Okay. So that is so a little bit of a compositional change there, but the prime idea will be the same as that of the reference. And the drawing part, I have slightly sped it up because I was taking a lot of decision on the way. So I have made it slightly faster, but it is still very much manageable for you to watch and understand. I think I have added this guy with riding a bicycle for a little bit of additional interest, right? So the foliage is here. Just a suggestion, because I don't want to spend time on the foliages, and the foliages are supposed to be just some shapes to occupy the space and to support the composition. Maybe a couple of coconut trees which is not there in the reference. These are some dynamic ideas that came to my mind, and I am applying a pale wash of Payne's gray, and it's pale wash, and this particular wash actually decides the kind of atmosphere that we are going to get. Okay, if it was a bright bluish sky, probably the atmosphere will be different, and if it is a grayish kind of a sky, the atmosphere would be different. So I am looking for a little bit of a grayish, kind of a cloudy kind of a scene. And let us suggest some clouds using little purplish kind of a gray. Okay, so this is Payne's gray and little bit of maybe red like crimson red also. And I am using a mop brush, and the brand of the brush is Camel mop brush, and I am suggesting the clouds little loosely. I'm not precisely drawing it. The sky area is still damp, so you will find little bit of a spread happening for the edges of the clouds. Little bit. This is a kind of a wet on wet treatment. I'm just, I mean, thinking of the overall shapes of the clouds, and yeah. I think that much is good enough. And now let us continue this approach and define some of the far end foliages. And here I am precisely defining the edge of the house kind of a negative painting approach. Okay, because I want more contrast on the roof of the house. Okay, it is the same color as the cloud. The foliage color and the cloud color is the same. If you wish, you can slightly change it. Okay, so if you want to make it slightly different, you may add little bit of a blue, so that the clouds and the far end foliages, they are more distinguishable. Okay. I have used a little smaller brush now. Initially for the clouds and the sky and all, I have used a bigger size mop brush, and now it is smaller size mop brush. I'm smudging some of these areas to avoid sharp edges. Okay. Sorry, I may be speaking a little louder sometimes, a little softer sometimes. Okay. And little bit of splash of water gives some texture for the foreign foliages. Now you can see my palette is little dirty, but you may please forgive me. This is a little bit of a red color and orange color. It is crimson and little bit of orange kind of a color. And I'm defining the roof. And if you want, you can use I mean precise brushes. You can use round brushes rather than small mop brushes. Okay, this mop brush that I'm using is little softer, so you may need little bit of control to get it right. This color that I'm using is cobalt green, and the brand of this color is uh, Aquatone watercolors. For the rest of the painting, I have used Camel artist quality watercolors. Both are Indian brands. Okay. Right now, I am just worrying about the the house, the sky, and other things. Right now, I'm not worrying too much about the left side and the right side foliages. I am kind of thinking to merge the foliages later. Okay, this is a little bit of burnt sienna and maybe Payne's gray color that I have mixed. See, I deliberately didn't use fresh burnt sienna there because overall I wanted little bit of a grayish kind of I mean, color throughout the subject. Okay, right. Little darker version of the color, so that it looks a little bit nearby. Usually when we comes to the foreground, as we come closer to us, as we come towards the bottom of the paper, it's a good idea to make it slightly darker, so that you get little bit of the sense of depth. Okay. Now I have to sort of think of how I can merge the foliages and the ground, the foliages on the right and the foliages on the left, and how I can connect it to the rest of the uh, paper, rest of the uh, area of the painting. Okay, so I'm using a little bit of olive green and maybe some of the left out colors in the palette like Payne's gray or maybe a little bit of blue. I mean, What I need is little bit of an earthy green with some tone variation. So it could be a mix of uh, olive green, sometimes a little bit of blue, and sometimes a little bit of Payne's gray, depending upon the tone you see on the painting. Okay. Now I want to somehow merge the foliage to the shadow area that we have already defined on the ground. Okay. Actually filling those white gaps. That's it. And here I'm not going precise. It is just kind of suggestion. I mean, yeah, I'm looking for suggestivity, not too much of details. If you are looking for details, if you precisely paint every detail, then your work may look more sort of rigid, okay, tight, and I don't want that. So I'm looking for some sort of looseness, okay, darker tones, little bit of Payne's gray, maybe a little bit of blue. Don't worry about precise colors. Think in terms of the tones, okay. Shadow, continuing that with little bit more accentuated shadows. If you are finding this video informative, if you are finding some value in it, please do subscribe and press the bell notification. If you have any questions or comments, suggestions, please do write them into the comment box below. Your support will always encourage me to create more and more tutorials. If you think this video can help your artist friends, please please share it to them so that they also get benefited from these informative tutorial videos. Okay. Okay, some kind of tonal variations I'm looking for, and this area is still not wet. I mean dry. It is still little damp, so that little bit of smudge you can find it when I apply the darker tones. It slightly smudges to the previous green color that we have already painted, and yeah, let us now think of the left side foliages and make it slightly darker in my view at the top. And I'm using bigger uh, mop brush for this because this it's a larger area. So I pick up the brush based on the area that I need to fill with the brush work. So if it is a larger area, go with bigger brushes. If it is a small area, go with smaller brushes. And the in general, my preference would be to pick up the largest brush that I can manage for the given area. If I can manage with the same area with two different sizes, one larger and one smaller, I would always prefer to use the larger brushes because I get the brushworks more bold and more sort of confident. It will look more confident. Okay, these are some suggestions, and I feel I think I should not go this much dark as I come down. Okay, so I wanted it to be a little lighter at the bottom area so that it sort of somehow mix somehow it merges with the brown the burnt sienna land area, the pathway, etc. So I'm just sort of merging it with a little lighter color. Maybe if you want to merge it like this, and if you want to just create the sense of a little bit of crowdness there, you can spread some opaque color, you can splash some opaque colors. Here I'm mixing little bit of blue with a touch of watercolor white to create little opaque kind of a blue, and then I'm smudging it with the rest of the area so that this bottom left area looks little crowded, little engaged, and there is something to look at. whereas they are not very much detailed, very much precise. So I'm also splashing little bit of white and orange mixed together, little thicker consistency, so that that area doesn't look very blank. Okay, that is the only idea. If you're purely, if you don't want to use any opaque color, you have the freedom to do so. Okay, I prefer to use opaque color in a controlled way. What I'm looking for is the overall kind of feel that I get, overall mood that I'm getting, rather than precisely following the conventions. And little bit of splashing of water also helps in getting the textures defined. With a smaller brush, I'm just defining some, I'm just suggesting some coconut tree leaves. Okay, just some brushworks. It is not precise. They almost everything in this painting is suggestives. Okay, so if you're looking for very realistic kind of an approach, then this tutorial may not be the right one for you. But if you're looking for loose and suggestive sort of impressionistic approach, then I think this video can give you some input. Let us go for the shadow part. Here I am using a smaller brush and I am using slightly darker version of cobalt green. I am mixing little bit of Payne's gray to the cobalt green color that I have used, and I am defining the shadows. Slowly working on the focal area now. Now that I have all the area of the paper filled, I can concentrate on the focal area. Here I'm being little cautious. I'm slowing down my process because this is the focal area and little bit of precision can always help. And the size of this painting, this artwork is uh, it is kind of A4 size, and it is reasonably small. What I mean to say, okay, in such a smaller scale, uh, getting precise details is little challenging. So you may have to struggle a little bit if you are using small paper. But I prefer to use a little smaller paper for the tutorials because it can make the overall painting period, it can reduce the overall painting period and the overall length of the tutorial. If you are going for a bigger size paper, you can take more time and you can paint on bigger sizes. You get more accuracy, more kind of precision if you go for bigger size. Okay, and here I am suggesting an auto rickshaw in in the shadow. And if you are not familiar with auto rickshaw, it is an Indian public transport, a three-wheeler public transport, which can carry 2 to 3 people around. Okay, so you can Google about auto rickshaw and find out what is the actual shape of it. Okay, right. This again is a very suggestive way, and the paint that I'm using is mainly Payne's gray with the kind of blackish tone that I'm using, and it is little thicker in consistency, and I'm using smaller size brush. Okay, I think overall the suggestivity is good, and we may have to define the figure now here. A guy who is riding a bicycle, and this was not in the reference. I have added to add a little bit more interest, and the color that I have used for his upper body is cerulean blue. Okay, this again is little opaque in nature. Whatever we do next, whatever details we are going to do next, they are all done with thicker consistency paint, and you can consider them as a little bit of an opaque kind of treatment. Opaque kind of treatment. very suggestive. And if you are not sure of how to paint figures in bicycles or figures in different actions, you can look out my playlist of painting tiny figures. Okay, you can browse my channel and you will find a playlist with tiny figures. And there I have described the process little bit in detail. Here I am using little bit of grayish red kind of a color, mainly Payne's gray and little bit of red. I try to add Payne's gray to almost everything so that there is a kind of homogeneity in the overall painting. There is a kind of synergy in the overall painting. Okay, right. Okay, it looks good now. Now the auto rickshaw needs little yellow highlights. So I'm taking some cadmium yellow sort of a color directly from the tube and I'm adding yellow color to that. The top of the auto and in the front portion of the auto. Okay, I think it is sufficient enough and let us give some orange color directly from the tube to the figure's exposed body part, which is maybe the head and neck, the face and neck, arms, if it is seen. Basically, I mean, the exposed body part. Okay. And some touches here and there on the house because the roof is little orangish. So I am just making some touches, strong orange touches wherever it is possible. Some kind of balancing, you can say. Maybe some white highlights to so that these elements are they pop up and they grab more attention. This is to be done very judiciously with caution, and you are very likely to overdo this. So don't overdo. Make minimum touches of these highlights and opaque color, etc. Too much of highlights will make it look like a rigid or tight painting. The looseness of the overall painting may be lost if you do too much of highlights. Okay. Now a little bit of a tile sort of thing on the roof, and I'm doing it with some red and Payne's gray, kind of some dark purple color. Just some dotted lines probably, so that they look like the tile line, edge of the tiles. If you have any questions or comments, please do let me know. Write them into the comment box below. I will try my level best to get back to you with my answers to all your questions. Okay, right. I think I am pretty much done with the painting. Maybe a little bit of shadows here. The shadow has to be consistent. Okay, so you have to be worrying about that. And I'm signing it and declaring it as done. Okay, so little bit of highlights here and there maybe. I think these lines when little slanted, it could have been better if they were straight. See, at this stage, I'm little bit uh, actually I'm little bit worried because these kind of small details, small refinements, we will try to keep it. We will try to keep doing it, and then ultimately you will find that you have you have spoiled the work. So at some point you have to stop this activity. Otherwise, your painting will start getting spoiled. So I'm deliberately closing it and I'm taking the tape out At this stage, I get some sharp edges, and the painting looks a little bit more attractive. So I think this work has done, I mean, it went well, and it is a better version of the references that we have used. So thank you very much for watching the tutorial, and if you have any question or suggestions, queries, please do write them into the comment box below. If you are finding value in the tutorial, please subscribe and press the bell notification. Please drop some likes so that I get some motivation for creating more and more videos. And you please share it to your friends, artist friends, who may find it informative and useful. So thank you very much once more, and we will soon see you with another informative tutorial. Happy painting until then. Bye bye.